Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking, everyone. I'm Deanna. Happy Tuesday. This is not our usual day. That is not my usual wife. Just kidding. Yes, it is Tuesday. We did not run the live show yesterday because happy belated Thanksgiving to our Canadian friends. So I am on live today on a Tuesday. Our normal schedule is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Starting in about 2 weeks, I will be able to come back to, my thing is glitching, but hopefully you are there. I will be able to come back to the 3 times a week schedule as soon as we get past the book event, which is coming up on Sunday. So this coming Sunday is the Haunted Rug book event in Stockbridge at the Red Lion Inn. Ticket sales have closed for that. I had to give the final head count last night. So I did that. It is going to be a great and fun party. I wish we could all be there together. But I do have the swag bags for sale. I don't have any of them reachable right now, but there are quite a few exciting things in those swag bags. Those are available online. I hope that you'll pick one of those up. It is the next best thing to being there at the party, and the party should be really fun. Cheryl, good morning. How are things on Cape Cod this morning? You are having your morning coffee and your cranberry muffin. It's in the low 50s. I think it's quite similar here too. It is amazing how quickly everything changed weather-wise, right? We experimented with putting the heat on yesterday, and if you have radiators too, you know that it's not an unpleasant smell, but it's the radiator coming on after a year smell, and it's really distinct. It really reminds me of fall. It is actually a positive scent for me, but I immediately, with my being in 50s at menopause time, I immediately got hot and the radiators had to go back off. So it was like it was a charming idea. It is definitely cold outside, but I just can't. I just can't. Oh, dear Maureen, great to see you. Ooh, you can't hear me. Well, that's interesting. I can see that my volume was all the way down. I will give a special shout out to Streamlabs to say thank you for the update. All of my stuff is reset. I hope you can hear me better now. I'm sorry about that. Happy cool Monday morning to you too, Ryan in Fort Worth, Texas. Yep, I think I got the volume back up. Let me know. Give me the thumbs up if you, yep, okay, good. Yep, I just looked at the dashboard. I should just routinely look at the dashboard since I never know when I'm getting the gift of an update. They don't tell you, and suddenly, like, my settings aren't the same. I did notice that. I should have checked everything. Ah, dear. All right, let's see. Kaz, great to see you. Good morning. Oh, I bet it's chilly in Wisconsin. Carol and Robin. Oh, are they coming over? They have volunteered to be guinea pigs for my punch needle teaching. I hope you're going to take some pictures. At least just to see you all together. That sounds like so much fun. I'm so excited for you. I really wish that I was there too. Ryan, got my copy of The Haunted Rug. Thank you for the opportunity, the kind words you wrote. You did such a beautiful piece. I hope everybody who ordered The Haunted Rug from me over the weekend got the full PDF too. Because if you ordered the book, The Haunted Rug, from me, right, I'm waiting for my author's copies because there's hundreds of them. So the author's copies, incredibly, take longer to arrive than individual copies. And since I didn't want to punish you all for getting a book with me, which will come to you signed, of course, and that my copies are taking longer than some people are already getting theirs, and I haven't gotten mine yet. As soon as I do, they'll turn around in a day. But in the meantime, I wanted to be sure that the people who ordered with me also got a free PDF copy. Please don't share that because it's the whole book for free. Everything, everything. So, but if you did order it through me, you should have gotten the PDF. And that's great too, because with the PDF, you can like download, you could say, oh, I just want to do this pattern and that pattern, but I don't want to hold the book open and do it on the flat bed and be like, copying the pages off. I'd rather just like download it from the computer and say, print it 28 inches wide. So with the PDF, you can do that. So I hope all of you who ordered the book from me also got the PDF. If you didn't, let me know. It should have come to the email that's associated with your account when you order stuff from me on Ribbon Candy Hooking. But I thought at least you can get reading on the book, and maybe you can get going on some patterns if you wanted to trace something out of it. Should be fun. Okay, good. I'm glad my volume's up. I am here with you. I can't handle too many challenges today. I'm telling you, it's such a busy time. I'm losing it a little bit. All right, let's see. Mom, good to see you. It should be back up now. Good to see you, Mom. That's right. You're not here on Mondays, but you're here on Tuesdays. And I will see you again really soon. And Robin said, oh, yep. Okay. Catherine, great to see you. Sandy, great to see you. Thank you for the order. Great to see you. Barbara, great to see you. Good morning. Karen, great to see you. Good morning. From sunny and cool Black Forest, Colorado. Fresh croissant in the oven and orange juice. That sounds amazing. Okay, volume better. Jessica, good morning. Great to see you. It's a cold, drizzly day in Ohio. Okay, thank you so much. And thank you for the congrats on the Tigger. I'm super excited about that. You know, funny you said that because I can't really dig into the Tigger stuff. The show is about Tigger today, but as far as admin stuff, as we replace the old board, it doesn't officially happen until January, but we're kind of rushing it because I'm trying to get good rates at the Viking Hotel in Newport, so we have to do the turnover in an expedited way. There's not a huge amount of protocol for this because it's the 30th anniversary of Tigger last week, which means that there have been 10 iterations of Tigger. So it's not like there has been like decades of chances for people to practice the turnover, and the fact that it goes from one board to a completely different board. Whoever the current board is can make their own rules, choose their own location. Everything is sort of reinvented. We are reinventing the wheel every time we start a new Tigger board. So that's a moving target kind of a thing, isn't it? But what I do know is I was talking to Colleen Tiefenthal, who will be at the Haunted Rug Book event as a vendor and as a friend, and she brought home from Tigger Niagara Falls last week. Remember last time on the show, I think it was Friday night, I showed you the swag bags that T. Seymour had made. She had sewn all of these swag bags with these substantial handles and these awesome tags that open and you can put your info inside. And we looked together at the amount of craziness that was in the bag. It was a crazy amount of swag. Well, it turns out we have about 100 of these that were left over that came to the new board. So one of the first things we'll do when we get everything set up, which won't be before the Haunted Rug Book event, that's for sure. But as soon as we've got everything set up officially and we are starting to take new members, signing up new members for the next 3 years of Tigger, and those 3 years will culminate in the last week of October 2027 in Newport, Rhode Island at the next convention. For those 3 years, people will have to sign up and become Tigger members again, and I will certainly give you the shout out when that's time. But as soon as we do that, we will put the 100 that we have of these swag bags up for sale as like a, immediate fundraiser thing to get money in our pot, the pot. We used to say that when we played cards. To get things going, right? So we can start getting, this is a not-for-profit organization. So we have to do fundraising, we have to sign people up as members, but those swag bags, man, those are gonna help because those were a lot of fun, and you remember from Friday the amount of stuff that's in them. So you know that I will let you know first, Patreon members, and I will let you know here when we are gonna be opening up Tigger for membership, and you will get the first chances to grab those swag bags. Courtney, great to see you. Good morning. And Diane, great to see you. Good morning. Diane, I have your order ready too. I'm going to write to you right after the show. Kaz, thank you. I hope you do send me photos. I have to assimilate the photos, Barbara, that you sent. I haven't done that yet. I still have my photos from the end of Friday. Karen, did you send some photos? Barbara, I know you sent some photos, but those will be in the next show for sure. I'm still catching up from Friday. Haunted Rug Book is amazing. Thank you, Kaz. It is a lot of fun. And obviously I couldn't have done it without the 100+ people who helped with that because there was a lot of writing. There was a lot of hooking. And I will let you know, I've mentioned it before, but I will let you know that our next book project, do you remember in March I had that, it's not an event. We did a month of roses. And the whole thing was I spent the entire month of March, and I think March had what, 30 days? 31, 30, I think 30 days. Can't remember that stupid rhyme. I can never remember that rhyme. But for the month of March, I put out a new rose pattern every day. And I thought that was kind of exciting. And a lot of people started hooking roses, and I want to turn that rose project into a book. I want to have at least 100 roses in a book. And again, people are already hooking them. Some people already bought patterns last year and are hooking them. I'm going to, as soon as I can, sit down with Barbara Cornish and look at what roses are there, what roses are available, what roses we need. That will be our next group project. Will be a big giant rose book to come out in the spring. So that's something to think about too. Dave, good morning. Great to see you. Coffee is brewing. I forgot to pour myself one. That sounds great. Mom, I ordered 3 copies for local libraries and got the online version. Oh, good, 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 Mom. We'll get my own hard copy this Sunday at tonight's event. Can't wait. Me too. God, am I ever hoping that Amazon sends me them on time? They absolutely should. They should be here early. I'm always worried about everything these days. It's all just a little too much these days. Sandy says the PDF is also valuable. Yeah, it is. It is. It's helpful because, again, you can like download stuff and print stuff directly from the computer without the middleman of scanning the pages, and you're seeing all the same content. So I think it is helpful to have both. And also it's available, The Haunted Rug is also available as a hardcover book. So it is already, you know what, let me grab it. Hold on one second. Let me just grab it. I should have grabbed it. I think my brain is like shutting down, like it doesn't want to think about Haunted Rug stuff for 5 minutes. But so this is what the book looks like. And I have my green screen setting on, so be careful. It's quite a large book. Cover counts with this. So the actual page count is like 198. So I'm right there at the 200 mark. And obviously at 200, the price jumps hugely. It is an enormous book. And it is a pattern book, right? So on every other page, you're seeing the pattern that if you like the pattern, Kirsten, if you like the pattern, Barbara, you can print it off. And of course, if you have, this is Morning Witch, Elizabeth Bennett, I love this one. If you love the way that she hooked it, or you have your own vision for it, then you're just either copying the grid or downloading it if you have the PDF version, or putting it on your scanner, right, to get the pattern off of it. But every page, right, every right-hand page is a pattern. So it is an enormous pattern book. And yeah, we will do this again next year for, so that's how nice and thick it is too. It's a big book. The hardcover version is out there. So the hardcover version is even thicker, as you can imagine, and it's all glossy. So this functions as kind of a workbook. It's essentially a pattern book with the patterns done for you by so many different people who are so talented, and so I'm so pleased we're involved. Oh my God, is that my Hartman hook? Sorry, if it was a snake. I've been talking about that nonstop. It's right there. Let's not talk about that Hartman stuff either. That's rough. If you noticed all of that happening on Facebook, super negative. I'm not going to go there with that. But anyway, hardcover is a great option for a gift, for a library, for yourself. This is good for a workbook because you can really open it and stretch it and photocopy the patterns. But the hardcover book is all glossy and just nice to look at. I just saw yours, Jessica. Just nice to look at the pictures, right? So those are both available also on Amazon. And particularly if you are in another country, right? I've seen some selling in Sweden, in other countries of the world. So it's nice that people are finding it. I think 6 of them sold while I was sleeping last night, and I hardly slept at all. So it's nice to know that people are finding them. That is really, really good. Yeah, so Haunted Rug. What were we just talking about? We were talking about Tigger. We're coming back to the slideshow. A hardcover. So excited there is. Yeah. Thanks, Barbara. It's just good to have both, you know, particularly if you were in it and you want like the deluxe glossy version. It's nice to have that for the bookshelf for all of time. But if you feel like you're going to constantly crack it open and be tracing stuff out of it, this is more of the workbook. So they're both good for 2 different things. They come in 2 different versions. We'll probably always do that for people who want just something to look at versus in like a souvenir, versus no, I'm really copying everything out of it. I'm totally doing all of these patterns someday. Then the soft cover works better. All right, Sharon, great to see you. Hello in Vancouver. Judy, great to see you. It is really pretty. I am happy with it. You know, if you're like me and you have stuff with depression and you're also maybe a little bit crazy, do you ever have those moments where something really good that you're excited for and you've been waiting for finally happens, and then you do like that Rosemary Clooney song and go, is that all there is? Is that all there is? Do you know what I mean? I do that with everything, and it's really bad. And then the pendulum swings, and I say, you know what, the book really is good. I am glad I did it, because there's that moment where it's like, I hate everything, I hate that, I hate me, I hate and then it's like, oh, the book really is good. It's all fine. But yeah, the dramatic swinging of the eccentric creative type, right? So it does really look good, and I'm really excited to celebrate it on Sunday. So we have that to look forward to. We have a bunch of other things to look forward to. So let's come over here right now and get going. We sent out a newsletter last night, and some of the stuff that I wanted to tell you about is on the newsletter. Prim Sampler is coming up tomorrow. So Prim Sampler, if you are not signed up for it, think about it. This is a super fun, very festive storytelling, poetry, inspiration, seasonal, mostly Halloween/autumn class. It is for people who love primitives, right? Specifically primitives. It's not a design like. We are only looking at primitive type patterns and Halloween and autumn themes. And I am literally walking you through a series of patterns that are primitive motifs that fit the season in a way that feels festive and makes you feel all Halloweeny and autumny. And the goal is for you to leave with a ton of drawings that are ready to go, that you could transfer onto your rug backing and turn into your great seasonal rugs. So that is coming up. Hey, Joy. That is coming up tomorrow. So, and it's also recorded. So if you're not available for it tomorrow, you can watch the recording and you get exactly the same information. You can watch it as many times as you want. So Prim Sampler is coming up tomorrow. It's the first of these seasonal classes that I will do. And again, it's not exactly a design like. It's a bit more low key. It's a bit casual. And everything is kind of going to be handed to you. So it's not as sort of, I don't want to say highbrow, because I think the design likes are very accessible. But this is a class that could be for anyone who's interested in doing their own designing and likes the idea of doing something seasonal. You could start something right now, be working on it in the next couple of weeks, and have it done by Halloween, right? So simple little projects, primitive style projects coming up tomorrow. Prim Sampler. I think I might have forgot to put the link to this in this stupid video, but you know it's on Ribbon Candy Hooking on that top banner. And I will put it in as, oh, good, Catherine, thank you. As soon as I'm done with this stream. This is another thing that is coming up on Friday, October 25th at 5 p.m. This is the next hook along. So I entered this as a hook along for people who have signed up for it. It's going to be one that this event costs $5 and it comes with a PDF. So this is Crazy Quilt Coffin. This is the design, right? It's a wild and crazy sketch. It's Halloweeny. It's for this month. I am going to do all kinds of techniques, punching techniques, hooking techniques, sewing techniques, applique quilting, felt quilting, adding bling around all of those lines. I'm going to be doing different embroidery stitches. I'm also going to be doing chain stitching with my rug hook. So I'm doing a lot of different techniques in this one piece. I have got my quilt fabric out. I have got clothing to cut up. I've got wool. I've got all different kinds of yarns, eyelash yarns, novelty yarns, my jar of buttons, everything. I've got everything around me, and I'm not even sure what I'm going to put where until we sit down and start fooling around. But this is going to be a fun sampler techniques class. You can also order this on the backing of your choice as a pattern, and that also comes with the event. You will get the login for the event. So this is going to be a hook along, but this one is behind a paywall. The paywall is very low, I think at $5, because I will be on there for hours doing this live with you. And again, this is coming up Friday, October 25th at 5 p.m. Catherine, you found a poem to go with this coffin piece. Please email it to me. I'll start off the hook along with that. That sounds fantastic. Oh, that's awesome. So those two things are coming along. You know what else is coming along? My head is spinning. So we literally got the Haunted Rug book in the mail, and later that night, my buddy Judy Taylor sent me the image for the next that she made for the next cover of Magpie Times, Marshmallow World, right? This is the winter issue. Buttons, shut up. Based on that Dean Martin song, Marshmallow World. I know he's not the only one who recorded it, but he's my favorite. So this is the winter issue of our quarterly magazine, Magpie Times. we are still open, the deadline is open, closes November 10th. If you would like to submit an article, something small like a page thing, a recipe, um, a poem, a finished piece for the gallery, something that fits into this issue, the theme of winter, right? And the winter holidays. We would love to have it. This is an adorable cover. This was hooked in yarn by Judy Taylor. This is her turn to do the cover. Absolutely beautiful. Sage, great to see you. Welcome. So we're looking forward to this. And at the very least, if you have some winter projects that you are proud of, go ahead and send them to Magpie Times magazine at gmail.com. And we would love to have those pieces in the gallery. This is not just a rug hooking magazine. It's an emphasis on rug hooking, but we certainly want all kinds of arts and crafts in here. Fiber arts and crafts, right? Fiber. So anything fiber is going to work. Karen, I know you're still working on your great project. I know there's a few people working on different things. Yep, it's coming up. Deadline November 10th. And it's great to see the cover of the next issue. We will put this up for sale fairly soon. We want to sort of shape it out, get it ready, and it's going to be another great issue. So something to look forward to. Now, back to Tigger. So last week I was at the Tigger event in Niagara Falls, and on Friday night, our last Friday night, which was cocktail night, we started walking around the displays at Tigger and talking about the events. It was the 2-hour show, right? So I hope you caught that. And now I'm back to kind of pick up some of the other parts of the Tigger show, and I want to keep looking at some of those photos and give you a feel for how the event played out. If you weren't there, it's a great window at what the event looked like last week. It was such a big deal. And if you were there, it's a great sort of memory thinking about what we did together and all of the fun we had. So I want to go back to some of the slides from Tigger, and I won't be able to finish the Tigger stuff today in one episode, and I will have to end on time because there's a half day at school, and Jossie has a parent-teacher meeting, so we got to get over there. But we will revisit Tigger for sure, and we will be talking about Tigger all the time, as I'm very proud to be the next president of Tigger. So let's talk about one of the other displays that was at this Tigger event. So Magnificent Bugs, right? These were the Magnificent Bugs rugs. This is an amazing project, and this is something I want to talk about more. This collection was curated and the book written by Leslie Knight and Yvonne Eiten Scott. So they are both on the board of the current Tigger, right? And I'm taking over and our group is taking over, but the current Tigger who hosted this event in Niagara Falls, these are two of the board members, and they are responsible for writing you this amazing. Oh, Ruth, that sounds great. Oh, Ruth, please do send it. That would be great. This is an amazing book, and I'm just working with Leslie to figure out how to get this book to you. I think what we said at Tigger is she'll send me a huge box of the books, and I'll put them. Oh, this is the green screen. Isn't that funny? Yeah, that's the green screen. So sorry about that. Maybe if I put it, yeah, this part is green, right? Obviously. Magnificent Bugs in Rugs. And this really is a beautiful book. The whole back cover is green. It's a beautiful book of all of the different bugs, right, that are in the exhibit, looking at them hooked, and then a little bit on the bug. This is what you see at the exhibit of Magnificent Bugs. So I don't want to look at every photo in the exhibit because I do want to look at that book on an episode of Cocktail Time. And we will be doing that in the near future for sure. But I just want to let you know that the Magnificent Bugs rugs exhibit was at Tigger and was absolutely, it was phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. So this is a to be continued. As you know, it was just Thanksgiving yesterday in Canada, so I'm giving all these girls a break. But then I'll be in touch with Leslie and find out about the books, because if I'm going to run an episode on showing you how great this book is, I want to make it possible for you to get the book. And at the moment, it's not possible to get the book. So let me figure that out, and as soon as I have that in place, I'll share this amazing project with you, and you just won't believe how beautiful these bugs are. Speaking of amazing, here is Håkan Groen Hensvold. He is from Sweden. You might recognize him from my second book, Design Like. I had a huge section on him in the Marc Chagall chapter. He is one of my very favorite people God, it was great to meet him, to hug him, to spend quite a bit of time with him and his lovely wife. What fantastic people, what incredible talent. Um, I showed you in my video of Tigger, I was looking at some of his pieces, and indeed I did a short video with him, if you remember, while I was at Tigger, and talked to him a little bit about one of his pieces, one that I just picked out spontaneously. I never did find out what that red ribbon was. I'm going to have to write to him and ask him. He's just an amazing person, and I'll tell you, he had one of the evening gallery talks. So he was up on stage one of the evenings. I think it was the last evening. Man, what a tearjerker that was. I mean, I went through every tissue in my purse. It was ridiculous. Um, he didn't realize how moving and touching his presentation was. It's not just how literally awesome his work is to look at and how different. Um, it's also um, it's also the language, right? Him speaking English as a second language is in this case so poignant because sometimes he combines poetry and his hooked pieces, and sometimes the words that he chooses make literal sense, but they have a slightly different definition in English. And I know exactly what he means, but often the words that he chooses, and you'll see this in the Marc Chagall chapter of my Design Like book too, because I included some of his poetry. Um, Often the word that he chooses is much more poignant and meaningful and evocative than maybe the more common English word that could have been used in its place, if you see what I mean. So he was speaking in a way that was very literal to him, and he was reading his poetry, but his poetry to listen to was extra, extra, extra. It had layers of added emotion and interest because of the words and because of the way that it was lyrical and almost tangible. Like the words hung in the air, like you could reach out and grab them, like an IMAX movie. You know, it was an amazing presentation. I loved hearing about how he kind of stumbled upon rug hooking and then he researched in Sweden whether there ever were any rug hookers so he could try to meet up with somebody and learn more. And he did find a woman. Um, and by the time he found her, she had, I think, just passed away. She had just died. And he got in touch with the family, and they ended up giving him all of her supplies. So he was able to start his rug hooking, which yeah, is epic, and he's going to go down in history as being one of the greatest rug hookers of all time, without a doubt. So it was just an interesting story because he said that the woman who he inherited all of these great supplies from, she was a member of Tigger, and she had been to past Tigger conventions, and there were people in the audience who knew her. So it was just one of these weirdly kind of sad but serendipitous stories of how he found the craft. She died around the same time, and then his family gave her supplies to him, and he brings rug hooking to the next place. It's phenomenal, his work. He's an amazing person. He's an amazing person to talk to. He's very, very, very warm um, and intelligent. So he did a slideshow with many, many pieces of his work. It was just over the top. And then I took a class with him the next day, and the class was incredible. I told you a little bit about this. I think this slide might have been from the class. We were all doing the same piece in the class, and he taught by showing us slides and talking about his technique. I can tell you a little bit about that, I think, without it being a spoiler alert. This is an example of the piece that you could be doing depending on how you um, bloodline. Oh my God, Diana, I think you're right. I think it is. Oh my God, Diane, it's a bloodline. It's a bloodline. Oh my God. How did you do that? Seriously, how did you do that? That just gave me the shivers. Okay, I am going to text him. I'm going to say that you came up with the idea because that was not me. Of course it's a bloodline because it's many generations of his family that are in that piece. Oh my God. You are a genius. You're a genius. Okay. Thank you. I just saw your comment, bloodline, and I thought, what? I thought, oh, God. Yes, absolutely. So he works in a very particular style. I'm going to describe it to you in just a second. But the project for all of us was to take this drawing. It's an angel drawing, and it had a specific, You could pick different variations of the angel, but it was posed in a specific way, and he allowed each person to change it in any way that they wanted. I changed mine hugely, and I'll show you how. He is, going along with Diane's comment, bloodline, he's all about storytelling within his family. And that's why his pieces, once you get the backstory and sometimes you hear the words to his poems, just very, very, very moving and deep. Not catastrophic, not traumatic. You don't need like to wear special, underpants to listen to them. It's manageable emotion, but it's really it's deep and it's a lot and it's very, very different. So watching him to me is like, I don't want to say watching someone in the zoo. It's like he's a different species. He's on a different plane, in a different planet as far as talent goes from me. And I look at him and watch him like a weird hawk, because I'm trying to get impressions and glean like some extra magic element just from being around him that gets me closer to the end product, which is magic, and it's his. But I will tell you that what he does to achieve this amazing look is he uses the finest, finest, finest yarns and he plies them together. So in other words, I brought my 2 or 3 ply Briggs and Little. It was still too thick. So I unplied my yarns to be like one strand of this, one strand of this, one strand of this, and hooked them together, like twisted them and hooked them together as a new piece of yarn. Is this incredibly time consuming? It is. But this is the kind of end product he gets. So this was his project that was like, in progress. This is how he gets shading that is so spectacular. It's not the Pearl McGowan shading. It's different. It reminds me of painting, right? It's different. He's making very deliberate choices. He's doing a lot of color substitutions. This one is quite, the skin tone is natural. He often / usually does people with a different skin tone that is not a natural human color. And then he does a lot with color substitution that's really interesting, but he is using super, super fine yarn. He occasionally uses a solid, but he more commonly unplies his yarn, replies it. So he has a piece that, for example, if he's doing skin color, my piece I was doing in like pinks and purples. So like where I wanted it to be really rosy, I would do like either solid pink or 2 parts pink, 1 part purple. And then if I got into parts that were more shadow, heading more toward 2 parts purple, 1 part pink, and then to just like the full part purple. I know this sounds confusing and crazy. I'll show you an example. Rita says, I chatted with Håkan when I couldn't go to Tigger. He has an article in Raw Cooking Magazine. He does from January, February 2019. We can all use his pattern as we like. Thanks for reminding me, Rita. I forgot about that. So that was Raw Cooking Magazine of January, February 2019. He's very generous. He's very generous. Does he spin and dye his own yarn? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't remember him saying he did anyway. And I think I would have because I was watching him like a rabid hawk. I don't know if hawks get rabies, but if they do, that's what I was looking like at this convention. And it's also worth saying he uses some stuff that's a little sparkly, and he uses some textured stuff. He's not just using like the straight up wool. He's like mixing other things in, but he's being like, I hate the word curator because I think it's used very pretentiously lately, but I am going to use it in this case on purpose and say it's almost like he's a curator with every strand. Like he's looking at every strand before he hooks it and going too pink, too purple. Texture not right, changing the texture. And that's why he's getting the result that he's getting, is that he's hooking in a very thoughtful and measured way. He is thinking about choices as he makes them, and he's very attuned to how the piece is evolving. So it's a very painterly style of working. I tend to work more in a style of, and it looks good to me, but that is the opposite of the way that he's working. And we all work differently, and we can work differently with different techniques, different approaches in the way that we work from piece to piece. even within one piece, you could say, hey, the background, I'm doing it with a tufting gun. I'm doing it primitive like this. And the face is the part I'm going to do it Håkan style, just really carefully. And I'm going to be very thoughtful about every loop, right? You can do them both. You don't have to say, oh, I'm this or I'm that. You can do them both. And I was trying to do both. This was the piece that I traced the outline for his character, which was just in the rectangle, and he, we had been talking a lot over the last days, um, and it mattered to me that his work was so much about his family and about storytelling, and I wanted mine to be about storytelling too. So I was still in the thick of it, editing the Haunted Rug book while I was there last week. We were right at the end of it all, but it was still the first thing on my mind. And I wanted to do a Halloween witch. Halloween is a big deal to me, right? I associate Halloween with my dad taking us trick or treating, and he's not here anymore. I love Halloween. I love how things were in those days. I love how we were young and everything was fun and funny and whimsical and seat of the pants. I just love the fun and whimsy and uh, um, storytelling and imagination that Halloween represents. So I wanted to do my character dressed up for Halloween with a candy corn cat hat. But she's also, this is going to be me. She's also holding a jar with lightning in it. Have you heard the expression catching lightning in a jar? When you catch lightning in a jar, it's like for 1 second you caught something magical, right? It's like you were so lucky. You've been so lucky you caught lightning in a jar. I feel like I caught lightning in a jar with getting into this business, with starting Ribbon Candy Hooking, with being able to move forward the way I have with so many friends and customers slash also friends, I hope. And we have been able to move forward together with a magazine, with books, with so many projects. It's lightning in a jar. And in the other hand, she's holding a hook. So I have the hook and the lightning in the jar, and she's a witch. And I have two little fish because I'm a Pisces. And in the border, I haven't resolved the background to it yet. I wanted to put, you can see in the drawing, I wanted to put like, those are Hawkins style trees, right? That's how he draws his trees. So I was thinking, I want to draw trees like that too, like as a tribute to him, because this is his pattern. So I did initially have fish going up one sleeve of her dress for Pisces and for star signs, and Hawkins trees going up the other sleeve of her dress. But this is a small pattern. And I realized I wouldn't be able to really do that. So I moved the stuff to the border. And I might knock out the fish. I probably will knock out the fish at the end of the day. But I am going to keep his trees. And if I could fit them into her dress without too much trouble, I would. But I don't. I think it would be too fussy. So I got hooking away on this. And let me just show you. I mean, this is the first time I hooked in his style. So mine is not great at all. I was just figuring it out. And I had to leave at the halfway point. I had to head back. So I'll show you this hot mess that is what I was working on. But you can see I've got like some flesh color worked into the nose and the forehead. I would work on the eyes and the mouth and everything more. It's as far as I got. But you can see how he kept coming around and he was so excited every time he came around. I'm sure he was like this with all of the students, but he was like, oh, wow, 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 like really excited and complimentary. And he's like, oh, you know what you need? And he went through my bag of yarns because I had like 100 yarns with me. And he picked out that lilac, and you can see the lilac in the bottom. And he said, you need a little bit of this color. So I started working the lilac into the bottom right side of the jaw, and I didn't finish it. It's still a bit slanted because I'm missing some loops there. But I am going to work in more lilac. But it just goes to show the way that he was trying to show how to do color substitution. And every single one of these loops is at least one ply of two different colors, if not three. So this is how you do it, baby. It's not easy. It takes practice. It takes encouragement, but it was a hell of a lot of fun to be there with him and just soak in his energy, his aura, his talent, right? Like just being near someone who you idolize, who is this talented, was such a treat. Speaking of which, the other class I took was with Tracy Jamar. She's another person who I am like starstruck over. I love her books. I love her work. I love Coil. I think it's called Coils and Standing Wool is her latest book. I've looked at some of her books on the show. It's amazing. It's just amazing. So I took this class with her, and it was about doing total groupie. Rita, I'm the worst. Such a groupie. Um, oh, that reminds me. I'll tell you a different story in a minute. So many weird serendipitous things happening lately. So that's Tracy standing up there, and she showed us how to do a bunch of different techniques. And even things like this three-dimensional. She said one of her friends who runs a thrift store had these beautiful shoes, and nobody really wanted them. And did Tracy want them? And Tracy said, "Yeah, I think I'd like to do something with them." So you can see she added a lot of eyelash yarn, quillies, a bit of hooking, right? She patched on as pattern pieces. It's just um, amazing. It's just an amazing gallery type piece, this pair of shoes. Tracy had set up around the room when we arrived lots of her pieces. This is a small shadow box piece, and just showing how she plays with fiber. She has got some standing wool on the sides. Mom. And you can see it's ombre. It's no, not ombre dyed. It's dipped dyed. It's two totally different colors, but it's opening up in a swirl. And you can see she's got what looks like more of a cotton twill or duck or something, a heavier weight cotton that she's done some colorful hand stitching on. And as it opens up like a zipper, right? You've got all of these folded piece of material that she has folded and stitched down. It's like a chorus of color. It's wild and crazy. You could also do this with neckties for sure. And there's wool bits in here. I mean, it's fun to look at. This is a very small piece, but what a cool, like, inspiration. Use your scrappy pappies, right? Use all of your scraps to make a piece like this. Just a great idea. She has so many great ideas. This was the cover piece for her current book, I think Coils and Standing Wool. Rita says Tracy is a beautiful soul and mega talented. She used to stable her horse in New York City and ride Arrow. Oh, really? Through Central Park. Uh, did she bring her rock collection? Yes, she did. I don't think I took pictures of those. Karen, did you take pictures of the rocks that she had in the class that day? I don't think I took pictures of the rocks. She just brought a few of them. I wish I had. I got in there and I was taking pictures, and then I should have asked her. I'm very shy in these situations. I should have asked her if it's okay because I felt like I was taking a lot of pictures, and then I thought, I wonder if I should be like just like you know running around photographing everything. And it turned out it was okay. But then we got kind of into the rhythm of the class, and I didn't go back and I only photographed a couple of the tables. But Karen, maybe you have some more of the photographs too. I was photographing techniques because I knew that my brain would want to take away some of these great ideas. This is one of these great ideas. Oh, these are your. I have some photos of the rock collection. Yeah. Oh, okay, Rita, send them if you can. Yeah, I'll show them next time we talk about Tigger because I want to also show Barbara's photos too of the sash of the Medi sash. Kirsten, I love this too. It's nice to see the background, isn't it? And I mean, I'm staring right now at this moment at a pile of colored burlap that is so beautiful. There's so many things. There is hooking involved in this, right? You can see the loops, but so many of her pieces are just sewn, right? So you don't need to think about whether you are working with a woven background. Okay, thanks, Karen. Um, if you're leaving some of the background showing, you could also be showing a patterned background or a painted background or a printed background, right? You really could be doing any of those things. You could be using silk ties to print the background of your wool and hooking into your wool, right? And having this printed background, still wool. So many things that you could do with this kind of an idea. But she had tables set up of inspiration where she was manipulating fabric in different ways and showing us how to manipulate, what to call it, right? Because the language is important. Um, how to shape it, how using a different shape can give you more flexibility, um, or what kinds of finishes or tricks can you use in every scenario, for every surface fill. So I was going around doing photos like this, looking at ruching and gathering and all of the different shearing, all of the different techniques, and mostly needle and thread techniques. I was also looking at the way that she found things like these little plastic rings and she just winds fiber over them and then incorporates that into one of her pieces. Like in this case, maybe it's a necklace. But I mean, there's so many times, and I know I've said this before, there's so many times when you just don't feel like working on a hooked piece or just a rug. You don't feel like working on a hooked or punched anything. But you do feel like having your hands be busy and you'd like to do something productive, but maybe you're just in a bad mood or you're just not there. And it's nice to think like, dang it, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a bunch of bottle caps and cover them with yarn, or I'm going to get a bunch of little plastic rings and or the things that I took off the soda bottles, right? These could be like things from soda bottles, you know, the rings. You know, there's so many things that you can get and recycle and repurpose. Just put them in a jar and put them next to where you sit to watch TV and keep all your raggy yarns and strips and extra stuff there. And when you don't feel like doing your project at all, like for you know, a week, a month, a year, a decade, right? You can still work on other stuff and feel like, yeah, I'm still making stuff and I'm going to use it one day. And when I use it, man, that's going to be a good day. I'm going to feel validated that day. But this is the only thing I feel like doing right now. Sometimes we just feel like working on simple stuff like winding yarn around a ring with our hands, you know, for days or months on end. And that's just where life is at that moment. And the good thing is, it might not be tomorrow, but at some point, you work on projects like this, right? And you stockpile your stuff. You are going to find, hey, Karen, there she is. That was my buddy. I was sitting next to Karen for this class, and you can see some of Tracy's pieces behind us. You are going to find, if you keep little stockpiles or little mason jars of all of these pieces, that you will use them someday. You will, I promise. It doesn't have to be tomorrow, right? It doesn't have to be. So I was working on my project on the table. I had some orange burlap out. I haven't gotten any further on this project, but my brain needs to start with a theme. I can't just randomly sit there and attach stuff because we were really supposed to be making stuff and attaching it. I can't, my brain can't do that without like some kind of a story in place. So all I needed for a story, she had a piece of denim in the thing, so I cut the denim into a hand and I quickly stitched it on, which is not part of the class. That was nothing to do with coils or standing wool. But you can see I left a little hole, you know, where her finger was, and I put like some kind of upholstery ribbon or cord. It was a cord that she had. I stitched that down, and I thought, well, now I've got a hand holding a stem. I can add some leaves, and I spent the rest of the class doing different techniques with coiling up. I wonder if I still have it. Let me see if I can grab it. Coiling up little flowers and leaves. Hold on, I'm seeing if I can find it. Huh, wonder where I put it. Well, I'll show it to you eventually. Maybe I showed it to you already. Isn't it crazy how I lose everything? Like everything, including my mind. Anyway, I made quite a few flowers using the techniques from the class, and I was really happy with the way it was coming along. I'm going to stretch this one out too because I want to show you one of the things that I was doing here that was fun. Was you can see the flower in my hand. I had a big strip of my wool that I just ripped. And then I had, did you see in the picture this metallic yarn right there? I have that in a whole bunch of colors, and I brought a few of them with me. And it looks like a cord, but when you open it up, it's just flat, like it's totally flat. I'm looking around to see if I have that. But when you open it up, it happened to be exactly the same width as this wool strip that I ripped. So I was like, ooh, and I just put them together, like next to each other. And I just started rolling them into a rosette and stitching them on the bottom as I went, right? Otherwise, they would just come apart in my hand over and over. So I was just stitching the bottom as I went, but I was kind of ruching them. I think I was stitching and gathering as I went and then tacking them into place. So I had, you can see an active thread underneath. I was tacking as I went. I would tack and knot, and it got bigger and bigger, and it was quite pretty. But it turned into a nice little rosette because you know, it has a lot of wiggle to it. It's quite gathered. It got quite a bit larger. And when you look at it, it has this glow to it because it has this metallic element, right? So it's just an interesting thing. The little bud type thing I did in the background, I rolled up differently. I was trying to kind of copy the stuff that she does in her samples to figure it out so then I could look at my pieces later. That's more of an open bud, and that's done with paisley, like an antique paisley shawl. I think I used a couple different kinds of paisley for that one. And I used paisley, a different paisley again for the leaf, and I kind of folded that like accordion, that sewed it down, and then shaped it by cutting it after I sewed it down. That leaf on the right, after I accordioned it and tacked it in place I gathered it, like I ran 2 stitches on the sides of it and then pulled it to gather it, and it made an accordion. And then I made little knots and stitched it down onto the piece. And once it was stitched down on a piece, then I shaped it because it had a much bigger edge. And I stitched a leaf shape. It's not very good. I was in a super crazy dither and I felt rushed, as I always do in classes. I stitched a leaf shape with my stitches, and then I cut around the leaf shape. So once I stitched it down, everything else was extra, and I was cutting around it. I didn't do a very good job, but this is a project that I plan to return to because it was super, super fun. And I had my eye on the time, and yeah, everything is stressy, Bessie. Um, I didn't mean to show that one next. I meant to show, wait a minute. Did I miss one? Karen, wait a minute. Oh, I have them in the wrong order. Hang on with me for a second. Um, Come on, Deanna. I lost it. It was the thumbnail. Shoot. I'm sorry. It was the thumbnail for today's show. Maybe I somehow missed putting it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I think I missed putting it in. I'm so sorry. I'll show it to you next time. The thumbnail for the show is this big panoramic view of Niagara Falls, and there's fireworks going off and everything. I'm going to skip over those because I want to show you the whole thing first. And I know it's on the thumbnail, but we're not looking at it right now. So let me just skip over those and move on to the next thing I want to show you. I don't want to miss those though, because they are amazing. Debbie, I wrote it in the thumbnail. Debbie, oh, it's there on the post for this show. I attributed it because it's such an extraordinary piece. Let's come back to that. This is another extraordinary piece. This looks like Anne Armstrong. We talked a little bit about Winnie Glavin's idea of using zippers in pieces. This is another piece. This is unrelated, right? This is not Winnie's work. This is Anne's work, but this is a piece with a zipper. You see the zipper at the bottom. So interesting use. It's almost like a pennant shape, a triangle. And the zipper has been attached underneath, and it's almost like you're unzipping the story of this woman. She appears to be undressed except for the hat. That in itself is interesting, isn't it? And then all of these beautiful, the sort of patterning of these proddy flowers. At least one of them has a nice blingy center. I think her hat is, if not trapunto, it might be a sort of an applique velvet hat with a little bit of stuffing stitched on. I think her earring is a real jewel, and the pin on her hat is real. Sometimes there's a question about what is trapunto, what is Waldoboro, and what is applique. I would guess that this is applique because it would give you the best result and it would be the easiest way to achieve the look of this hat. It's a beautiful piece. What a great idea. This really appeals to someone like me with a collector's mentality. I love stuff with women, number one, and I love things with multiples, number two, and I love stuff with variety, like seeing the same thing in different ways. So I like seeing all of the different flowers with different centers. I like seeing a collection of jewelry attached to this piece. It strikes me as a very female piece, and I really relate to it. I love it. The fact that she appears to be undressed and the zipper element are interesting and enigmatic to me. The expression on her face is very hard to read. What would you say that expression is? It's a very strong face, isn't it? She seems to be, in my mind, thoughtful, maybe disappointed. It seems like there's something of a negative emotion going on. Maybe it's just preoccupation, but there seems to be some heavy, heavy thinking going on. This is not a light-hearted facial expression, is it? Maybe it's just something as simple as, I hope I don't trip on the sidewalk with these fancy shoes, particularly because I'm naked. Maybe it's that. I'm guessing it's not. But what a beautiful piece. And it brings up all kinds of questions. And it's also extremely decorative to look at. Just in love with this piece. Jessica says, this is so gorgeous. I love everything about it. great techniques here for you, Jessica, right? You are such a great techniques person too, but showing so many different things and just simplicity and storytelling. I love the kind of storytelling where it's left up to you, right? And again, Diane, thank you for Bloodline. It's left up to you. Absolutely love this. Beautiful piece. And Barbara, you wrote earlier, I didn't catch it, I'm sorry. I loved being able to use up fun, pretty bits. Tracy's class was very eye opening. Yeah, she does so much with bits and pieces. And Tracy Jamar, she, she doesn't throw, she appears to not throw stuff out because she was showing like recycled stuff, like bottle caps and those rings around the bottles and stuff. And I'm thinking, man, if you saw what my house looked like right now, you would like call the authorities. Like it is insane. Partly because of the haunted rug thing coming up this weekend and trying to get stuff ready, getting the swag bags packed, getting everything packed, trying to do. Oh, by the way, if you're coming to the event, and I'm going to send an email to this effect, and you know that there's a specific pattern from the haunted rug book that you want, and you can let me know in advance, that would be super helpful because I can't bring like everyone and I can't bring multiples of everyone. So I want to bring ones that people want because I would love to sell stuff at the event, but I want to be sure I bring stuff that you all want. So let me know if you're like, I'm looking for this there. That's the only thing I'm looking for. I'll try to make it in time. So I'm not just like randomly using up my backing to make stuff that I don't know if it will sell or not, right? Because I'm not a huge operation. Rita says, I sent you a bunch of Tracy's work. Thank you so much. The rock stuff. Let me know if you got it. I bet I did. I'll let you know when I get on my phone. Thank you so much. She looks forlorn or scorned. I like that. See, this is the thing about storytelling. When somebody gives you something as a gift to look at, right? And then it's up to you to relate to it. I think you either relate to it personally and then you're attached, right? Then it's like you are physically and mentally attached to this piece, or you don't relate to it, but you admire it, and then it's easier to do some storytelling from it, right? But in any case, having a relationship with a piece like this, when you're looking at it, I have to say this piece was hard to photograph because there was always people standing in front of it. It's just like being, in an art gallery and wanting to stand in front of a specific piece, and there's always other people standing there, and you don't get the same experience when you aren't alone with that piece. So it's that kind of thing, isn't it? It's really a stunning piece. Let me see if I can squeeze in one more. Oh, this one's another beauty. Sorry, it's a little bit dark. The way that the displays were set up, it was kind of in the corner, so I was creeping in there to get a good angle. I think it was low as well. But it is a beautiful piece, and I hope I'm doing it justice. There's some Waldeboro on this piece. I think there could also be some Trapunto on this piece. Yeah, there is some Trapunto on this piece. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Hang on here. I'm taking you for a ride. You see the quillies in the corner, right? Large ones surrounded by smaller ones, but then you see all the leaves. The leaves are Trapunto, which means that there's the rug hooking backing. Let's say it's on linen. We don't know. Let's say it's linen. And there's a second piece of fabric, doesn't matter what the fabric is, behind it that has been sewn in the shape of leaves, right? The linen has been cut, I'm sure secured, tucked under, or secured, right, so that it's safe, or stitched right around the edge carefully. And then each leaf has been sewn through, right, so through 2 layers, and in the back, you're piercing or cutting the back and stuffing it with stuffing like for a stuffed animal, and then just doing a little knot to stitch it back up. And it basically makes a stuffed part just on the leaves, right? So there's a second piece behind it, just a little bit larger than the leaf, that is attached to each leaf. That's how you do Trapunto. The wings of the bird, I don't think are Trapunto. I think those are Waldeboro, right? It's hooked very densely and very high, and then it's been trimmed down. So different techniques happening here. It does look like the tree trunk, at least on the top, is Trapunto as opposed to Waldeboro. Hard to tell, right? Hard to tell because we're not that close. I think the leaves are definitely Trapunto. So this is a great sampler piece, isn't it? Seeing at least, I'm going to say Quilly, Trapunto, and Waldeboro, and then straight up traditional hooking in the same piece is really exciting. Let me make it small again, and we'll end on this piece so you can look one more time. Just goes to show, it was a largish piece. When you see something like this and it's like it's a bird in a tree with flowers, it is. It looks like it could, in theory, be a really sort of simple, primitive composition, except it's not. So beautiful, interesting piece. Really, really different. And I'm going to hold on number 95 there, and we're going to come back to this as soon as we can. I'm going to have to see how the rest of the week shakes out. Shannon Carter's going to be here. She's staying with me on Friday because we're getting ready for the Haunted Rug on Sunday. So I think I won't do an evening show this weekend. I'm not. I have to admit, I did have a bit of a breakdown yesterday. It's all good, but I'm just a little bit crazy and a little bit stretched thin right now. So I think we will probably just go live from the Haunted Rug book event on Sunday. And I can't give you an exact time because I don't want to be rude and just be like, could you zip your lips right now? I'm going to go live to people. So I'm going to do it organically. We'll see how it goes, but be looking for probably multiple live streams on Sunday from the Haunted Rug book event. And as soon as I can, it'll probably be 2 weeks from now, go back to doing 3 episodes a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday again. That's how I like it when things stay the same. But I am looking forward to the Haunted Rug. I also wanted to tell you, I didn't mention in the introduction to this video when I reminded you that the Prim Sampler Halloween or Autumn edition is tomorrow. So please be signed up for that. It's going to be such a lot of fun. I would love to see you there. Also, the Crazy Quilt Coffin Hook Along, right? Those 2 things are coming up. Those are both products. I hope that you're signed up for them. I'm having so much fun working on this stuff, and it's great. I love being able to put out this many products, and it's a very expensive month. So I appreciate your support in joining classes and things like this while I'm running ragged. It actually quiets me down to come back and spend time together. This is therapy for me. It really is. Talking about rugs, sitting down quiet and talking about rugs with you, or being in class with you, this is therapy for me. Thank you. So those 2 things are coming up. But the other thing I forgot to mention, and I put my phone over there in the charger, is the book club meeting of this month. And I'm aware of the time. Don't worry, got my eye on it. The book for this month, right? October book, spooky book, is The House on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand. And I am listening to it. It's scary. It's not gross and gory. It's a haunted house book, and it is based on this Shirley Jackson's classic haunted house book, The Haunting of Hill House. Right. So that's a much older book. I think that's a '60s era book. But the book for the book club is The Haunting on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand, and it is fantastic. We will be having our book club also recorded on October 30th, the day before Halloween. And I forget what time I said. You'll have to look at the post for that to see. I haven't set up the Zoom yet, so I'll set that up, and I'll post it in Facebook and on YouTube. So I hope that you will be reading. It's available on Audible as well. The Haunting of Hill House. Audible, it's read, and there are sound effects. It's really scary. It is really scary. I know Shirley Jackson, Catherine, is like my favorite person. This is Elizabeth Hand, who is fast becoming my favorite person. In fact, this is what I wanted to tell you. I was listening to the Haunting on the Hill, and I got a few chapters into the book, and I already knew that Elizabeth Hand was a great author. I just haven't read any of her stuff yet. And she started talking about something that will certainly come up again in the course of the book. She was talking about a play called The Other, and it totally gave me the shivers because I worked on that play when it first came out in Battersea in London when I was a student and I was working in the theater. It's a 1-act play. That was one of the best. It's Strindberg. It's August Strindberg. One of the best. I think that was my favorite show I ever worked on. It was 2 1-acts, but it was The Other, and it was about these 2 women who, it's set in the Victorian period, these 2 women who meet each other right around Christmas time. And it is the wife and the mistress. And only one of them, it's a 2-person play, only one of them has a speaking part. And the wife comes and sits down with the mistress. And obviously, the mistress was expecting to see the husband and not the wife, and the wife got in there instead. And the wife sits down, very wealthy, with all of her Christmas gifts in a bustle. And, oh, I guess you weren't expecting to see me. And the mistress never has a line in the play, not one word. And the wife sits down and says, it's Christmas time. So I'm going to try to have the Christmas spirit with you. She's dressed in this beautiful Victorian dress. I know about you and my husband. And I hated you. And, I wish that you were dead. But when I think about it, sometimes I feel like I should thank you because he used to only drink coffee and now he drinks hot cocoa. And I know that's because he drinks hot cocoa with you and now he drinks hot cocoa in the mornings with me. And I kind of like that. And those slippers that you gave him, you probably didn't know that I knew they were from you. Well, he wears them around the house and now the house isn't such a mess. And come to think of it, this thing, and the wife just is sitting there and she means to yell at the mistress and make a scene in this cafe. And instead, she starts this list of, and it's like she's thinking of it as she goes along, like, you know what else you've done that is good for our marriage, and the whole story flips, and the mistress keeps going, like she wants to say something, but she can't get a word in edgewise. It's the most exciting. I think you have to see it acted out, and it never plays. Anyway, I was getting the shivers because the author was talking about this play, and I thought, I wonder if she saw, because she's English, although the book is set in Connecticut, The Haunting on the Hill. And I thought, I wonder if she saw the production that I was in the wardrobe for. I dressed them every night for the entire run of that show. So I sent her an email, Facebook message last night, and I said, I'm loving your book. I'm super scared. But I have to ask you about your reference to the other. And I said, I wonder if you saw it in Battersea, because she mentioned the same year that I was working on the show. And she wrote back this morning and said, oh, it was so good to get your message. That isn't the version. She said, the version I did was at this place and I was the wife. And she said, I was probably really terrible at playing the wife, but she said, it's one of my favorite pieces. And I said, it's one of my favorite pieces too. So we got chatting over email. So I can say, funny coincidence, but also the author of the book that I happened to choose, The Haunting on the Hill, Elizabeth Hand, what a nice person she is. We've been going back and forth this morning a little bit as time allows with like just a little bit of chatter, but she really is, she just is such a nice woman, such a nice person. And that was one of those weird coincidences because she also loves Shirley Jackson. She's a huge Shirley Jackson fan, which is why she did this project in the first place. But it's just funny how life is, isn't it? I was in such a bad place last night and I woke up with hardly any sleep in such a bad place too. And I got that message from her and I thought, oh, yeah, some things, so many different train tracks going at the same time, right? And this fast train's going good and it's headed toward the Haunted Rug book event and that's going to be great. This one's going a little slower. I'm trying to get orders out. I'm trying to get forward with new products so I can sell some more stuff. I'm trying to get the swag bag going. That's all great. I'm trying to get the kids off to school, and there's a bunch of half days this week because of parent-teacher meetings. All of these train tracks are great, and here's Elizabeth Hand writing to me, right? And I'm feeling like, oh my God, Elizabeth Hand's writing to me. It's just when the trains cross, right? When they're not supposed to cross. That's when bad things happen. In my mind, there's so many train tracks right now. But the point is, some of them are very good and very positive and exciting. So be thinking about that book and be thinking about October 30th for our next book club meeting. It is a great book. And just make sure that you can handle the scares because, like I say, it's not like I'm only in the middle, but it's not like violent and gory. It's a haunted house book. And if you're thinking, how could a haunted house book ever be that scary? Give it a try. Give it a shot. And then see what happens when you need to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Uh, See what happens. See what's going through your mind then. All right. Hey, everybody. I will see you soon. If I change my mind about a weekend show, I will let you know for sure. But my plan is to be live with you for a good part of the day on Sunday. So I'm thinking of that as the weekend show. And in the meantime, I've really got to hustle. I will see you all very soon. Be looking at those new products. Be thinking about the things that are coming up in the near future. Be thinking about Marshmallow World and November 10th as the deadline for the next Magpie Times. Have a great day, and I will